Hello, podcast listeners, friends. This is another episode of Storytime with Dave, only today it's going to be a little different because it's beef time with Dave. We're getting into it and I'm bringing heat, okay? When you hear that noise, that means I just brought heat, okay? I was just doing that so you'd be aware of what was going on when you hear that noise, okay? That's the noise when I brought heat, okay? So basically, here's what happened. Let me give you some backstory. Now, I'm not a beef guy. I like beef on for a burger, which, by the way, never mind. I already made that fat joke on Instagram. But I don't like getting into beef, okay? But this beef, it was foisted upon me, okay? And a man needs to protect his honor. You understand? That's what has to happen here. And I got these two bozos, right? These Westchester woke boys, Barry and Peter Clark-Deutsche. And they've been out here, they made their own podcast and they're talking smack, okay? And they didn't think anyone was going to fire back. Well, they don't know me. Clearly they don't know me, And I was disappointed, to be honest with you, but excited at the same time because what an honor it is to finally be able to take part in a podcast beef, especially where I clearly outclass and outrank my opponents. I mean, these guys, they're Westchester Bozos, dude. Do I need to say it again? These bozos? Come on, I'm bringing heat. Now, here's what happened. Let me explain to you what happened. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible and just really get to the highlights. And this is going to involve me playing clips from their podcast, that they made that is, it leaves a lot to be desired as a podcast, okay? And this is coming from a guy with a podcast, okay? I'm a guy, I got a podcast, they're guys, they got a new podcast. Now listen to me. I've received authorization, okay, from Barry. I did talk to him about it. I said, oh, you started a war, bucko. Understand this. And he was like, bring it. So they want the heat, dude. They're asking for it. They want the heat. Now, how do they do their podcast? What did they do on their podcast that caused this beef? Well, I run an open mic, okay? I run an open mic in Nyack, New York. It's called Olives. It's at Olives. That's why it's called Olives Open Mic. And they straight up shit talked my place. Now, if you run an open mic, open mics suck, dude. Most of them suck, like 90%. But if you run it, it's like my son. That's like my child. And I got these Westchester Bozos, and they're out here talking smack about my son, and they think I'm not going to shoot back. Well, you got another thing coming. You got another thing coming big time, okay? And I'm going to play you the little clip. I'm going to play you different clips where they just, where it was just, oh my God. I'll play you the clip where they were caught red-handed. Because I'll tell you what, let me tell you something. I'm a supportive guy. And when people in the area, in the comedy scene, when they have their, when they make stuff, they make a podcast, I listen to it and I subscribe and I give it 5 stars. That's why I listen to 2 Mic Minimum in the first place. They call it 2 Mic Minimum. That's the name of their podcast. I think it's based off 2 Drink Minimum. And it actually is very appropriate because you're going to need 2 drinks minimum to make it through that podcast. 2 Mic Minimum. At least 2 drinks. You're going to need maybe 4 drinks. Am I bringing heat already? Yes, I am. You're going to need 2 drinks to get through that podcast if you're short and skinny, because that'll get you tipsy enough to get through it. Otherwise, you might need 4 or 5 beers to get through this sucker. But that's the thing. I saw Barry was tweeting about it, and I said, let me support a friend in the comedy scene. I was coming at it from a completely, selfless, really, a hero, I would say. Honestly, I know you're thinking it when you're hearing this, that I'm a hero, and you're right. You're completely correct, and that's how I thought of myself in that moment. But you know what? I get to about 14 minutes. And I'm listening to it, and I'm literally live messaging Sean Barry. I hit up Sean. I was like 5 minutes into the podcast. And I hit up Sean on Facebook Messenger. I was like, hey, man, that was a funny joke you made. At one point, believe it or not, Sean makes a funny joke on the podcast at one point. And I hit him up and I said, that was a funny joke. And he was like, ha, thanks, man. And I keep listening. I wish I had stopped right there. This beef would have never happened. And he knew it was about to happen. I know he knew. I saw him start to type something out. There were the dots, and then they stopped. And I know he was about to say, please stop listening to the podcast. Please stop before this beef inevitably begins. And you had your chance, Sean, and you blew it. You could have told me to stop. I would have never known. But instead, you launched this beef. Now let me get to the, let me play you the clip in question. Let me play you the clip that it was over. At this point, it was over. I'll play you the clip. It starts at 14 minutes. Now look, just for reference, if you want, you can listen to their podcast. You can subject yourself to that if you want to. It's called 2 Mic Minimum. You could subscribe to it. You could rate it 5 stars. Okay? And you'll have more context for what I'm about to do to these bozos and break them down and eviscerate them. At one point, Peter Clark-Deutsche said he likes, big words, flowery language, lots of syllables. Well, how about that? How about that, Peter? Eviscerate. That's what I'm doing here. A shellacking, if you will, as Stephen A. Smith would put it. Now let's play this thing that launched the beef. I'll play this for you guys, and you be the judge. You tell me what you think, because I think that this is a beefable offense,
They come back also.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I actually prefer it in a tucked back room, because when it's just at the bar and people just went there to drink and be silent, they fucking hate stand-up.
Oh, of course. It's awful. That's why, Olives, which is essentially that, is a shitty place.
Have you ever been to Olives?
Like, last year.
So I don't know, eventually you just learn to grind it out.
Yeah, I mean...
Wow, did you hear that? Oh, sorry if that was loud. Come on. That's why Olives is a shitty place. Peter Clark-Deutsche, been there once in his life. I think I saw him there once. I saw him bomb, like most people bomb in Olives. But have a little resilience or something. Have a little wherewithal. Like, you bomb once, you never want to go back to the place. There are good nights at Olives. There are bad nights at Olives. This is true for any open mic. Sometimes I go to Lucy's and everyone's being a cuck. And they're just sitting there and they won't laugh at shit you say. But then most of the time, you go to Lucy's and it's a pretty good time because it's nice and quiet. Okay? Olives, yes, there are bad nights. Yes, sometimes homeless people walk on stage and try to steal the microphone from you. Yes, sometimes other homeless people go on stage and flash the audience because they're, hookers. Sure, but that's what makes it fun, dude. That's what makes it wild. And these are the kind of things that you'll look back on and you'll go, I remember this place, Olives. Some wild shit happened. And instead, these guys calling it a shitty place, these bozos, what do you know about comedy? What do you know? Nothing. That's what I gotta say. And I really was perturbed. You like that flowery language? I was perturbed. I was perturbed by what they said about my son, about my child, And so what else? Now, here's the other thing. Okay, so let's take it from the top. So now, obviously, since they talk shit, and oh man, see, they got a different comedian involved too. You want to hear it? And they didn't think I'd probably bring this up, but I'm bringing it up because a comedic friend who has his own podcast, they brought it up. I'm gonna let these bozos do the talking, and then I'll offer my rebuttal. Okay? And I just have to remember, okay, it was at 7 minutes and 45 seconds of their podcast, which is an hour long, which is probably 55 minutes too long. Okay, so it's about 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Let's play. Let's hear what they had to say about one of our local boys. Okay?
I'll plug all you might. You guys hate each other?
I don't.
Okay, wait.
If next time, if you want.
Okay. So it's probably at 7 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Heads up, I could definitely.
No, it's fine. I think it's better if I'm off the cuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I didn't want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna be police off the cuff. With Sergeant Bill Cannon.
Yeah, let's not plug that.
I'll plug. Oh, you might. Did you guys hate each other?
I don't.
We're getting into the drama.
I mean, I don't like hate Bill. He just doesn't like me because I embody like a stereotypical liberal that doesn't exist in me. I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay. That's shots fired, dude. That's shots fired. I mean, they're talking shit about my boy Bill Cannon over there, who actually has a good podcast. Unlike me and unlike these bozos, these Westchester Bozos, Bill Cannon's podcast is actually good. Like, it's actually very listenable. It's a great podcast. It's a very interesting. He's a former cop. He's a retired cop. And he talks to other retired cops about shit that you want to know about from cops. So it's actually a good idea, and it's actually, they actually have some listeners, okay? Although I'm getting some listeners, I don't know if the Bozos have any listeners. I hope they do, to be honest with you. I'm not straight hater here. It's just like, listen, boys, you play with the bull, you get the horns. They were poking the bear, and I do have a beard like a bear. Now, here's the thing. So they're talking smack. Let me just plug that podcast, Bill Cannon's podcast. Go listen to it. It's called Police Off the Cuff. Go listen to it. And I'm going to plug it again. Police Off the Cuff. Go listen to it. Because they didn't plug it, I'm going to double plug it. Because I'm supportive. And I will still tell you to go subscribe to 2 Mic Minimum. Even though they started this beef. What is that? Integrity? Yes. It is, dude. Now, here's the thing. So what else did they do? I wanted to get to this part right at the beginning of their podcast because it's amazing what they did. And I'll let you listen to it, and then I'll tell you what they did. I'll let you listen, and then I'll tell you what they did. We'll start at around 45 seconds. I thought this was very interesting. I thought it was impressive, to be honest with you. I'm actually going to give them props here. I thought it was impressive. You ready for this? Let's let the people hear, and then we'll talk about it.
To do
who are you? Random voice speaking.
Yeah, I know. I like how we just didn't introduce ourselves at all in the beginning. That's fine. Yeah. My name is Peter Clark-Deutsche.
My name is Sean Barry.
Yes, we are both open mic and like small show comics in the Westchester, New York City area.
I get booked regularly in the city, so
Wow, so Sean Barry gets booked on one Broadway comedy club bringer, and now he thinks he gets booked regularly in the city. Oh, did I just bring heat? Wow, yeah, I did. I think I did. Let's keep playing it. Let's keep playing and listening.
Just saying that, not to brag.
Sean's probably gotten booked more than me, but...
Yeah, that's not even a question.
I don't mean to be that comic douche, but, like, I haven't been taking stand-up that seriously lately.
Oh, man, Peter, you did sound like that comedy douche. Wow, damn, son. So it's amazing, actually. Literally in 1 minute and 15 seconds, no joke, in 1 minute and 15 seconds, they made both of themselves unlikable. Amazing. Bringing heat, amazing. Fire. Can't believe it. How did they pull that off? In 1 minute and 15 seconds? For me, it usually takes like 5 to 10 minutes before I become unlikable. But these bozos, 1 minute, 15 seconds, and they're unlikable. Actually impressed by it. Not even hating right now. Actually impressed that they were able to pull it off so quickly and effectively. Oh my gosh. So let's see. I had written notes. Basically, I had written notes, while listening to the podcast. I was like putting different moments, and here's what we're dealing with when it comes to Barry, when it comes to Bozo Barry and Bozo Clark-Deutsche, right? Here's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a semi-woke boy, and we're dealing with a full-blown woke boy, right? Look, I like these guys. I really do. That's why I want to rescue them from this, because they're recent graduates. I'm also a recent graduate, but I was able to start breaking the brainwashing. I was able to start, kind of cutting that off while I was still at school. So then by a few months after graduation, I was totally free from, the chains of progressive politics, right? But it seems like these guys, they still got a while to go. I will say Sean, he's close, man. Sean, you're really close to breaking through. Peter, still a ways to go, but it's okay because you're smart. Smart people they should be immune from that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But if you are being a woke boy to get pussy, I would understand that. I don't know if you have a girlfriend. If you don't and you're doing it to get pussy, I get it. I don't think it's going to work. I think there are better ways to go about it. But if that's your strategy, then I guess go for it, man. Do what you do. But hear me out. That's all I'm trying to say. Hear me out. This isn't from a place of malice. This is just what it is. Now, let's see. So we've already covered that they shit-talked Olives, right? Launching the beef. They shit-talked Bill Cannon, consolidating the beef. What else did they do? Well, they talked about these articles, right? That was one thing that they talked about. And I will say here, you know what? I'm going to throw out an olive branch. I'm going to extend an olive branch, speaking of olives. Sean Barry, at one point, I gave him a gold star, okay? I'll play you the gold star, and then I'll talk about the article that they're talking about. This is what they decided to do. Peter chose 3 articles for them to, read over and talk about. And, I don't know, like they were, one of them's just awful. It's a New York Times article, and I've learned to expect horrible journalism from the New York Times, as most of you probably have as well. And if you haven't, then you might be in a little bit of denial, And this article is written by Sopan Deb, which, like, what kind of name is that, first of all? Sopan? Come on, this is America. And it's called Inside the Brutal World of Comedy Open Mics. And mics is spelled like the name Mike, M-I-K-E-S, which I never liked that. It's like I do M-I-C-S. I don't like open mics. It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like a guy named Mike getting a surgery. It's like that's an open mic. But comedy, it's like M-I-C. That's an open mic, okay? And so I will give Sean his gold star, but then I'm quickly going to take it away by something that they said while they were going over this article. And this article is written by a journalist, and I'm saying that in air quotes, who went out to open mics for one night in the city. Went to a few open mics one night in the city and then wrote an article about the brutal world of comedy open mic. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking... Oh my God. Are you serious? They'll publish anything, dude. It's amazing. They will literally publish anything. It seems like the only thing you have to do to be a professional journalist is be annoying. That seems like the only, And I'm going in. It seems like, okay, let me say that again. Seems like the only thing you have to be to get published in the New York Times is be annoying. Yeah, okay. Thank you. But they have good journalists. Obviously, they do. Like, almost every publication has some good journalists, but it's like they've just lowered their standards so much. The New York Times is becoming like as bad as Vice. You know what I mean? So, and it's like whatever you want to compare it to, or like Breitbart. What does it matter? It's like they have low journalistic standards, and they will publish anything. It's amazing. It's like the editor. It's like he's on vacation or something. Now, let's give Sean his gold star. I'm going to play you the little clip, and then let's quickly take it away. Okay? So this clip is around 17 minutes that Sean gets his gold star. Let's play Sean's gold star. Here we go.
These sets serve as the birthplace of jokes that will someday make paying crowds guffaw. See, this is why I love New York Times. Their language, I think, is really great.
No, it's not. No one talks like that. No one reads like that. You're being a pretentious douche.
I'm being a pretentious.
Yes, Sean. You know what, Sean? You get some air horns. Sean gets some air horns for that. That was great work, Sean. Thank you for actually standing up for yourself and for sensible people in the world. No one likes that kind of language. This is the interesting thing about journalists. They want everyone to know how smart they are. And so instead of using words like laughter or laughing, they write guffaw. What the fuck does that mean? And you know what they did? They wrote laugh, right? So that's the context. It would make, a room full of people guffaw. So they wrote the word laugh. I bet you this guy did this. I bet you he said it made the room laugh, and then he highlighted the word laugh and put it into Google and looked up the thesaurus and looked for synonyms, and they saw guffaw, and he was like, if I put that word in, everyone's going to think I'm super smart. And so that's what he did, and it's like, come on. Really? Don't do that. Guffaw? Are you serious? So I'm at least glad Sean pointed that out. Sean, you get a gold star for that, but He kind of ruined it. He kind of ruined it a little bit before this, or at least canceled it out, because I was like, good, gold star for Sean. But then they talked about this, and this is going to be controversial, okay? What I'm about to say, and I'm giving you a trigger warning, okay? So if you don't like that kind of thing, then stop listening now while I'm still maybe likable, but I doubt it. So I was thinking about reading the article. Let me see what I'm at. We're at 20 minutes right now. I was thinking about reading the article to you because it's so bad, but I probably think that would be a waste of time. I will read the first sentence just because it's funny, like how it's already wrong. It's amazing that it's like in this article, the first sentence, it's already wrong. But I mean, I guess they're engaging in hyperbole, but here was the one part where I was like, these guys, now I know why they're woke, right? I figured you guys out. And I'm about to tell the world, aka 35 people, why you do what you do. So why is a man woke? Why is a man woke? Why is a man a feminist? It's the reason that we all know. Now let's hear it. Let's hear it from these fellas. Let's hear it live, in person. Let's hear it. Here we go.
The male, because it's hard to convince women to go into a tucked away basement to hear jokes or tell jokes.
I wouldn't even. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah, I just did a whole podcast about that. And yeah, no, it sucks being a woman in comedy. Period. Like,
yeah, it's just because it's just intimidating.
It's beyond the intimidation fact is that even when you're funny, there's like, oh, you're funny for a woman. Or, or if you're edgy, like there's this thing where like you can't be dirty if you're a woman. Mm-hmm. Like any guy can go and talk about his dick, but a minute a woman starts talking about her vagina, it's like, ugh, be a lady.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely gender bias. It's very clear.
It's not even a question.
Like people just think Amy Schumer when they see a woman go on stage. They're like, oh, this woman can't be funny. I've never seen a funny female comedian in my life. When I think the issue is just that, like, the comedy isn't for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank the Lord. You know what? In these hard times in society, in these tough and impossible times to make it through, because life is so hard in 2019. It is so nice. It is so inspiring, uplifting, heartwarming to know that there are heroes, pure-hearted, pure-blooded heroes, just exactly what the world needs. These bastions and paragons of virtue to stand up for women in comedy everywhere. It's so nice that we have these in our own comedy scene. The Westchester Bozos are true heroes. I'm going to start calling them the Westchester Heroes because they stand up for women in comedy. Because it is so hard for women in comedy. It is so hard for women in comedy. And you know what? I take back what I was about to say. I was going to say that maybe they're only doing that kind of thing for pussy, but I don't believe it because they're too virtuous and too righteous to do something like that. I mean, these are pure men. And most men are different. Most men just do things for pussy, right? Most men just do things to get the attention of women, especially if they don't have a woman in their lives. But these men, they are pure and they have no ulterior motives. Even subconsciously, they have no ulterior motives. They are just pure heroes. And women do have it so hard. And you know what I have to say? I was about to say something different. That's why I gave you the trigger warning. But I have had a complete change of heart after hearing that clip. Complete change of heart. Because women do have it so hard. I mean, it must be so hard to start doing comedy and then to start getting booked on shows 2 months later. That must be so hard when you're completely unprepared to be getting booked on real shows, but you get booked on them anyway just because of your gender. That must be extremely hard. The fact that there are shows out there that are, they're just for female comics, and there's a lot of them in the city that they only book female comics, that must be so hard. Because there are less female comics than male comics, right? And so statistically, it must be so hard. It must be so much harder for them to get booked on shows and get exposure. I mean, I totally see where they're coming from now. Like, To be a woman in comedy in 2019, it's hard, man. Now, I mean, if you're talking about like 1991 or like 1985 being a woman in comedy, I'm sure that was easy. But nowadays in 2019, when everyone's bigot and everyone's sexist and everyone's racist, it must be so hard to be a woman, let alone a woman of color, in comedy. And it must be so uncomfortable for them, you know, to go on stage and have to put yourself out there and the things that you work so hard on. I mean, men don't have to deal with that, male comics, you know, that's not something that they're subjected to. It isn't, you know, there isn't any anxiety associated with comedy if you're a man. If you're a man, you just go on stage and you don't care, you know, because men, we have that privilege and that luxury. But women don't have that. And to be honest with you, complete change of heart here. I feel so bad for women in comedy. I'm getting very emotional about it. I feel so bad. So, you know, like, I don't know if any ladies are listening to this podcast, especially women in comedy. Listen, just know that you have protectors and heroes. The Westchester Bozos will protect you, and they will be your heroes. And you should shower them in pussy, just to show your gratitude, right? Because they deserve that at the very least. But I don't even know that they would accept it because of their virtue. And they wouldn't want people to take it the wrong way. Okay? So, right? And that's really all I gotta say. I mean, to be honest with you, I had other notes taken, but I think that's about all I wanted to say. I think that's a good point to end it. So, official beef has officially begun. I mean, if they're going to respond, they could respond. Let me hear it. They probably think I'm alt-right because at one point, Sean Barry said something to the effect of, you know, people on college campuses don't know what's funny, which is true. It's completely true. And you know, look, it's not true for everyone. Obviously, it's a big generalization. But if anyone knows, if you ever gone to do an open mic at a comedy student center, for example, which I've done before, it's bad. I mean, they don't laugh at shit unless you're up there like, isn't Trump the worst? Don't you just hate Republicans? That's all you can get away with. If you go up there and you're like, I'm not going to give you an example, but you know what I'm alluding to. You can say anything that isn't in line with the things that they believe in, and you will be stared at brutally. Everyone in the room wants to kill you. And they will certainly not laugh at your jokes. And they do not have a great idea of what's funny, or they might not give it credit for being funny, even if it is funny. So they're not very good test rooms. You know what I mean? And Sean was saying that. He was saying, well, they don't really know. And then he goes, well, no, you probably are going to think I'm alt-right now, which is insane, dude. It's like, is that the bar for alt-right? If that's the bar for alt-right, I don't even know what the fuck I am. Then I must be a Nazi, right? I'm the only Jewish Nazi. Amazing. A first of a kind. Right? I must be. If to suggest that college kids don't know what's funny is alt-right, then I don't even want to know what you know, the Westchester Bozos think of me. You know what I mean? But they can let me know if they want to make a rebuttal to my rebuttal. You know, I mean, they started the beef. I responded. They can defend themselves. You know, I don't know what they'll say. I did want to, you know, try to get them away from being woke boys, but I think if anything, I've emboldened them more to become more woke, which is upsetting. It's sad. And look, I'm not saying there's a problem with being woke in general. And you guys know what woke means, right? It's like what they did with that heroism when they were talking about how hard it is for women in comedy. That was woke, right? That was an example of wokeness. And really, it's like woke is kind of similar to like progressive political values. And look, if that's what you think, then that's okay. But it's just, if you're a comedian, it's really hard to be funny and to be woke. You know, it's very hard for those two things to live and survive together. That's why I want to show you guys the light a little bit. But that implies that I'm right and you're wrong, which I don't think. I just think it's a little more fun on stage when you can really just say whatever you want and not have to worry about maybe upsetting one or two people in the crowd who share your wokeness. You know what I mean? So that's all I really got to say. Beef, this is what it is, you know? Sometimes in comedy, you get into beef. Sometimes in podcasting, you get into beef. And you got to drop hammers. And you got to let people know what's up. And you got to stand up for Bill Cannon. You know, police off the cuff. But, you know, go ahead. Subscribe to 2 Mic Minimum. Listen to them. Listen to me. I don't know. Do what you want. It's a free country. Right? Or, you know, for now it is until the wokies take over and start murdering all the white people. But enjoy your time while you have it now. Or, you know, climate change will end the world. Oh, here, I'm seeing that word guffaw. I just saw it. Guffaw. It's terrible. I'm looking at the article right now. So, thank you for listening. As always, I love you, except for those Westchester Bozos. Take care, everyone. Bye.